Thank you very much. When I was asked to give this presentation, I was asked to present you our matricular portal, and I thought, okay, it might be not really spectacular and highly interesting to get some portal presented that anybody knows anyway. So I thought to do the presentation a little bit differently, and I called it out of the box. You know that proverb, out of the box, thinking outside the box, out of the box. But it can also mean to put things out of the box. And I want to present to you matricula and the topothek in those two ways. So thinking outside the box, what does that, how does that comply to matricula and to church registers? The thing is, when we started to digitize our church registers in St. Pölten 20 years ago, the digitization of the church registers itself was not thinking outside of the box, but thinking of an online publication was very much thinking outside of the box, out of the box. Because all my colleagues said, okay, it's some kind of the devils to publish registers on the internet. You must not do that. But the pressure by the users and the overcrowding of our reading room really forced us to do something with the internet, and so we thought out of the box. And despite the resistance of my colleagues in the other Austrian church archives, in 2009 we published the first version of our matricular portal. The reason why we did that was simply the fact that so many people were requesting the books, not only in the diocesan archives but also in the parish offices, and both the diocesan archives and the parish offices could not deal really anymore with the huge amount of people requesting the books. And what I do not understand until today is that still church archives have some reluctance to publish the registers online, despite the fact they are overcrowded by users in the reading rooms, and despite the fact they cannot really deal with them. But that's another question. For us, it was really the perfect solution to publish our registers on the internet. Not only because of the fact that now we got rid of the users in our reading room, not because of we do not take care of hospitality. Of course, we love to receive people in our reading rooms, but I think it's much more convenient for the people not having to travel, to spend a lot of money and a lot of time to get to St. Pölten. When on the other hand, you can access the registers very easily on the web at home, in the living room, in the sleeping room, or even on the toilet or wherever, yeah. So, and the reactions that we got was really overwhelming. So we got almost every day we received emails how happy we could make people outside there. So it was a new feeling as an archivist, that an archivist not only is a serious person, an archivist can really be also a very happy-making person. So we got the experience that we really could enrich people's lives very, very much by giving them online access to the registers. And so during the years, now matricula runs for 15 years without any problem. It grew and more Austrian dioceses joined matricula, and surprisingly also many Catholic German dioceses joined matricula, and also the Archdiocese of Luxembourg, and also very surprisingly also the dioceses of Slovenia joined matricula. So I always say when Slovenia joined us, and especially the diocese of Koper, Capodistria, located near directly by the sea, I said, okay, finally we have access to the sea again in Austria. Yeah, so you see, publishing registers and the matricular experience is really, really a wonderful, marvelous example how archivists can team up with their users and can make each other really happy. Yeah, so that's really a wonderful experience. So if I think back to the year 1995 when I left the Institute for Austrian Historical Research, my colleague from the State Archives, he knows that very well. A very serious thing, very much focused on medieval history and medieval charters and so. And having experienced that shift from that very serious times now to those very, very happy making times, it's really a wonderful experience. And what can you do with those church registers online? What we do in Matricula, it's very simple. We simply provide images. So that's really not spectacular, and it's some kind of stone-aged, of course. But what we can do out of those images, we've seen it already, what fancy stuff Family Search does with it. But I want to show you in another example. What can be done with it is a Spanish project by the University of Barcelona. They have a project, it's called Xarxes, or Xarxes in German. And they've created a system that digitizes and converts all the images into digital information of the population registers of Catalonia. And they've created a workflow that digitizes the documents, that extracts the information and builds a huge big data of family history of Catalonia. And just that you get a glimpse what you can do with the data there. You can create some kind of live logging for singular persons. So for instance, for this guy here, Bartomeo, yeah, you can see what occupations he had during his life. So this is something you can do with the data. You can also geolocate all the places where certain families or persons lived that you can visualize with that system. You can create various statistics. You can also create name clouds, so which names were the most frequent names in certain periods of time. And I think the heart of the system is that you can create from almost each person that lived during the last 200 years in Catalonia some kind of Facebook page. Yeah? It looks like that. So if you have an image of the person, you have the image there, and you have all the data related to the person there. So you have a map where the person lived. You have a tree with all the relatives, and you have on the right-hand side, you have some kind of friends list like you have in Facebook. This means you have all the people who were in some kind of relation with the person. And you can do that with almost any person having lived in Catalonia. So that's, I think, really a fancy example what church register data can be about. Now, now let's leave thinking outside the box. Let's really take things out of the box. And I think one highly underrated source in history are private documents. Private documents like this here, so at the first glance they do not look really spectacular, but at the second glance, private documents, private photos, private birth certificates, private contracts of buying a house or something like that can also be highly valuable sources. But the problem is private documents are under big threat because due to the change of within the generations, mostly those private documents get lost. And in Austria, we've developed a system that's called the Topothek, or Topothek. And this system tries to solve that problem. So the structure is, it's not one platform for all of Austria. It's a system that is very much community-based. So this means a community or municipality installs a Topothek and starts collecting the private documents in that area. So this means it's very much regionally focused, and it's very much, how shall I say, it's very much decentralized. And this means also that the people in a municipality or in a village, they chase after the documents. So they run around in the village asking all the people, do you have old photos? Do you have old documents? And then they scan it and put it into the local Topothek. So on the one hand, the material is safeguarded, and on the other hand, the material becomes accessible. And here you see the Topothek system is spread all over Europe in the meanwhile, thanks to Vladka and her really unlimited energy. All the Topotheks here in the Balkan area exist already. And how does that work? So you see here the front end of one village. It's called Aigner. It's some not really important village in Lower Austria. And what happens to the photos or documents that are collected in the village? They are tagged, they get a date, and they get a place, a georeferencing. So this means that all the objects also get geotags, so we know then where it belongs to. And so you see here the front end of Eichbüchel. It's all very, very simple. So it's supposed to be a system that is very easy to access for the people in the village, and also very easy to use for the people working in the back end, because people working in the Topothek are not historians, are not archivists, are simply people being enthusiastic about what they do. And that's, I think, another highly important fact about the Topothek. With the Topothek, we've made it also to attract the interest of many people that previously had not to deal anything without history or collecting old documents. So, for instance, in my home village, the Topotheker is the former president of the soccer club. I remember him only crying at the soccer pitch, something into the game, and I would never have imagined that he would become a Topotheker. But now he's the chief Topotheker of my home village, and he really is really good at what he does. Yeah, and there you see. Talking about the private images, this is one of those private images, and they might be unimportant, but for local history, they are important because they preserve the small details of the history of a community. And here you see, for instance, that wall here on the left, yeah? So it's not beautiful, it's not spectacular, but this wall does not exist anymore. But on this photo, it still exists and it is preserved. And maybe for one of the future researches on the local history of that village, that wall becomes important because due to certain reasons we do not know at the moment. Another thing is also with that system, we make it also to collect the collective memory of a community in a village, because it's also possible that in images like here, where we do not know all the names of the people here, the knowledge in the village can be collected, and people can be asked, okay, do you know this guy? Do you know that guy? And then the faces of those persons are tagged and identified, and so the knowledge about this image is collectively preserved. Yeah, and so the Topothek is not just a system preserving and collecting history and cultural heritage and knowledge in the village. It's all about collaboration. So this means the network behind the Topothek are the people in the village collecting their memories, or also the network of all the people collecting the memories. And so also the Topothek is a wonderful experience. It started 10 years ago with that Eichbüchel Topothek here that I showed you. Today we have more than 400 Topotheks all over Europe. And maybe also one word about the sustainability, the financial sustainability. The financing of the Topothek is ensured by the municipalities. So the basic principle of Topothek is that Topotheks are not run by private persons. Topotheks are in 98% of the cases are run by the public authority of the respective municipality. So this means there is a cooperation contract between Icarus and the municipality that is about running that Topothek. So this ensures a constant flow of financing from the municipality to Icarus in order to ensure all the programming stuff and the other stuff. And on the other hand, it ensures the continuous further development of the system through Icarus. So what is this about? We have the church registers, we have the private material. What does the potential unlock? And I think the basic principle of both is openness. When we founded Matricula, there were huge discussions about making a business model and hiding the church registers behind paywalls or something like that. So all of you, I think you know Archeon. We had some kind of pilot project in the 2009-10. And we had big discussions also with them, creating some kind of business model. But we in Matricula, we always went for the way of openness, because we think digitization absolutely makes no sense hiding data behind paywalls or other barriers. The huge additional benefit of the digital era is that any data set can be connected with another data set. If you restrict data sets behind paywalls or other stuff, so you don't need to digitize, you can keep it analog in the repository because there is no added value. And that's why we kept Matricula open, and that's why also all the Topothek data is open. And so you can connect the personal data of the people in the church registers to the cadastral maps, yeah, to private photos, to seniorial records, or you can connect them also simply to old postcards of the village. So any combination of information becomes possible, and absolutely new, fascinating insights into the history of our ancestors, but not only into the history also of our closer surroundings, of our villages, become possible. And so the most important and most fascinating facts of that for me is that history that so far was only something for some kind of elitary people. History was only something for you had to know that an archive even exists, yeah, and so only few people knew that. On the other hand, also people had to have the ability to know the structure of an archive, had to know how to read the documents, had to know all the other stuff that an historian knows. And now with the provision of all that sources in the internet, we create some kind of history for all. So almost everybody can access the historical information and do something with it. And I think especially in times of an increasing democratization and participatory processes in democracies, it's really important also that people can also participate in processing, in using also historical information. And by digitizing all our historical information and breaking down the barriers in accessing them, it's not just about handwritten text recognition, it's also about breaking down the language barriers. So historical information also can become a very important part of our everyday life because we can access it anyway at any time. And of course, I think also by providing all that data and that information, it also gives us as human beings a very important part of our identity. I think most of us, we identify ourselves by our families or by the village where we live or by the country we live in. And knowing more about all of that, I think that really strengthens not only our identity as a person, but also to our friends and also to our other family members and also to all the other people out there around. And so, in my view, digitizing all those stuff is a highly enriching and happy-making thing. Thank you very much.